Hello, hello. Welcome back to Suspending Disbelief, the next chapter. This will be episode 5 for the second year of Suspending Disbelief. Um, and it has been 2 months and 12 days since the last episode that I posted. So that in and of itself says a lot. Uh, although I was giving myself that grace to have things take longer than I was expecting. Um, but I think I'm on track with getting this episode recorded today because it was 3:33 as I started recording. So I had to go back and listen to episode 4 from August 10th because I could not even remember what I had last updated about. And uh, the amount that has happened since then is honestly insane. I did really enjoy the second half of the summer with my kids. We went camping. We went to Lake Louise. We went to Banff. Just some of the most beautiful places in the world, right? And just disconnected. And doing that is always such a healing experience, but especially doing that in the Rocky Mountains around just such beauty is transformative. So it was fantastic. And we were really blessed. We got to spend our camping trip with my uncle, who is so much fun. And he gifted us all a trip on the gondola in Banff. So we got to go up the mountain and then hike up the top of the mountains and just see, like, you just look like you're looking at it, um, at the entire world. Like, you just see a range of mountains all around you. And it's just incredible. It's the most incredible view I've ever seen. So that was amazing. That was the last week of August. And um, aside from that, I was just sort of getting regulated, getting balanced out, getting to the point where things were sort of functional again and everything was okay. um, and then September started. September was so bad. It was so very bad. And I know that everything that is happening, that has happened, is meant to happen, that I am exactly where I need to be. Um, that even the hardest things and the biggest trials that get thrown at us are all for a good reason that we can't always see right then. And I do trust in that fully. And I know that that makes some of the hardest situations easier for me to tackle. Just knowing, like, having that faith that this is for a reason. It's all in my best interest, in the best interests of my children, in the best interests of all. And um, just being able to trust in that is it's game changing as far as being able to function day in and day out when it seems like everything is just against you and it feels like everything is coming at you from all sides and everything that possibly could go wrong is going wrong when Murphy's law is prevailing, right? So I'm really grateful that I have that depth of understanding, that I know that, before I came into this life, I chose what I was coming into and that I knew that I could handle every bit of what came at me. So as hard as it is sometimes and as low as we get, like, I do believe and trust, and consistently suspend disbelief that this is all in my highest good, and um, that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, right? One of my my biggest things that I like to say on this podcast. So, um, and to myself, not just on this podcast. So, all right, so September. Um, I I'm trying to I'm trying to decide what can be divulged and what cannot, because there's some things that just aren't only about me, and I definitely don't want to share anyone's private experiences more than is allowable, is okay. I will say that my children reported um, physical abuse by their father, and there has been There's been a lot. There's been a lot about that. There's been a lot of, I mean, police phone calls and interviews for the kids, and so much paperwork. I've never seen so much paperwork in my life. And all the setup leading up to court and all of it, which has gone from basically the first week of September until now. It's not all resolved. It is October 22nd as I record this. We'll see when I get it out. But things have been hell in a handbasket. So, my dear friend, it, I had, okay, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. So I had, all in one week, at the very first week of September, my dear friend's mother passed away. And it was just heart-wrenching and emotionally a lot. Because I was very invested in it. And then the next day, my son reported that he had been being hit. And then the next day, my daughter confirmed, yes, she also was. And um one of the days that week, I may even be getting my days out of order because it was just so much. One of the days that week, I also found out that another family member, not one of my children, but another family member was being physically abused. And it was just like a whole lot at once. And and then it was the first week of school. And so it was actually our first week of homeschooling. It was our first week with the girls back at public school and my son at home with me homeschooling, and then all of these big things that happened. And it was just like, I mean, world shattering, right? Just so much at once. And trying to hold the emotions and be the strong one for my children, and just being so angry, so absolutely furious that that generational trauma had carried on beyond my generation, because I had dealt with that as a child, and I thought that I had broken that loop, that pattern. And so that was, oh, it was a shocker for me. It was a lot for my system. Like, it had been a month since I had really gotten a grip on my mental health and all of these things. And thankfully, like, this is what I mean by, I know that there is a reason that I am where I am, and that it's for a good reason. And when I broke down in July, um, I know now exactly why. Because if I was not on some antidepressants supporting my mental health, and if I was not working on, increasing my physical health and all of these things that also support mental health, I would not have handled what hit me that week as well as I did. So, I have to, like, I was very able to sort of hold up under all of the pressure that week and that month and this month. But it was a lot. It was just so much. And then, um, right from the beginning of the school year here, which begins at the beginning of September, um, there was talk of a strike, a full strike over the entire province. For you, those of you living in the US, a province is basically like a state. So the entire state, right, shutting down as far as school goes. And that was the public sector, the Catholic sector, like everything. So, big deal. And it had been voted like a stupid high percentage, like 95% of teachers voted that they wanted to strike. And so they were in talks the week before school, struggling sort of all throughout September. They finally ended up striking at the beginning of October. They have now been off on strike for, I think it's like 19 days or something. And as far as I've heard, no end in sight. Um, and so the we had strikes at the end of last school year. We've got strike at the beginning of this school year. And so the kids' educations are sort of just like all over the place. And with the drastic amount of emotional crap that got thrown at us in the first week of September, um, Homeschooling didn't stop. Actually, it's been one of the things helping us keep a consistent routine going, which has been so beneficial for all of us. But it really took a different turn than I originally thought that it would. At first thought it would be more structured, more, I guess, similar to public school, where it ended up, it just changed. It changed into a lot more of not necessarily unschooling, but interest based, very like, uh, having conversations instead of sitting down and doing workbooks kind of thing. So it shifted quite a bit from what I originally intended. I had so many deadlines in September as far as like getting everything in goes, related to homeschool on top of everything else that was happening. So it was just every time I got a chance to breathe, I would think I should work, and then I would basically just laugh. It was there I had nothing left to give. So I couldn't record podcast episodes, I couldn't write posts. I was amazingly enough in August I had gotten so caught up that I had actually had content, like notes on Substack and posts and everything written and scheduled and all of this weekly until I think it was the end of October or maybe mid-October, but I had gotten ahead. Woo! Amazing, right? And it held me over during the worst of this, as well as the fact that I had this medication supporting me, which really did help to stabilize me and get my mood under control and all of that stuff. So it was all in perfect timing, as always. And um we have found a routine. My kids have not been to see their dad since the beginning of September. My two younger ones and my oldest, I mean, she hasn't seen her dad in like a year and a half. So it's it's a lot of 24/7 momming. um, I have finally found like a sitter that I can rely on to watch my younger kids for a couple of hours here or there, or to she's also a dog sitter, so she will watch my dog for me if we want to leave town. That's how we were able to go camping for a week, which was amazing, and and all of these things. But yeah, business has just been not on my radar. I have done some, not even all of my mastermind calls. Some of them have had to be rescheduled because of everything going on. Um, and it's just been very tumultuous, very intense. But again, I've been feeling very supported through it just with this suspending disbelief, just with this knowledge of like, it's all working in my favor and it's all happening for a reason. And, um, it's been over 3 years since I left my ex, and we have not finalized proceedings, any of that stuff. And so this whole process has now brought up the need to solidify parenting orders and child support order and spousal support order and all of these things. And I'm like, well, that is it was all needing to be done, and I'm being pushed to get it done. And, I don't know how long it will take. I know that the legal process can take a while. I know that I was sort of pulled in so many directions as far as paperwork went, because one place would tell me one thing, and then I'd go to submit something, and then that place would tell me something else. And I was just all over the place, doing all kinds of paperwork, ripping my hair out, just like, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know how to do this. And of course, I haven't worked like all year. So there has been very little to no income coming in. And thankfully, I do have other sources for that, for supporting myself and my children. But there's not extra. There's not extra for me to be hiring a lawyer, right? So I've been trying to work through it mostly on my own. I will probably be getting like um, some form of legal aid at some point, but it's like, um, I could really fall into the trap of feeling like, why me? Why does everything have to be so hard? And why is everything, you know, um, falling apart around me? And I could really get in that. And I don't feel that way. I feel like I got overwhelmed a lot of days and I had to step away. I overloaded my brain a lot of days and I had to stop and rest. And um, I on top of all of this, so in the last month and a half now, maybe almost 2 months since the last episode that I recorded. Um, we have also had, how do I say, so when I got on this medication and got sort of stabilized, I realized how many things I had let slip. So I had let a lot of like doctor's appointments go, um, follow-ups on things that I needed to do for our health, like all the appointments, like eye appointments, dental appointments, all the things. So once I got stabilized, I was like, crap. So I started making all of these appointments for September. And then all of that stuff hit the first week of September. And so it was just like I was managing appointments for the last month and a half, pardon me, where it just felt like I was either rescheduling or rushing to and fro from like a bunch of appointments in one day, and even though I had scheduled them based on my hormone cycle. Okay. So I scheduled them when I would be higher energy normally, but there was so much that I just was like maxed right out, and not in a stressed way necessarily with that stuff, but just in a, there's so much. And it's not all negative, but there's so much. And so there was a lot of appointments that we did, for my oldest, Cadence, and myself. There were some results that came out of it that, um, number one, are very helpful in helping us to take care of ourselves better, in knowing what is going on. But also number two, required big changes that require me to expend more effort and more, concentration and focus on it and all of these things. So I have been increasing my exercise. I have been really, really working hard to have an extremely good diet, because I was having problems, with my liver, and not because of alcohol. For anyone who goes there, I don't drink really, so that's not the why. I was having other issues with my liver, so there's there was just so many things, and I would say that most of the issues with my liver came from the last few years of struggling financially after my business crashed after I left my ex, and not being able to always buy all of the healthy foods and, all of that. And some of the habits as well, like under stress, our habits kind of went to shit. And we just weren't keeping up on everything. I wasn't as active as I had been, all of those things. So, um, all of it, again, very positive in that sense. It wasn't great that there was health issues, but it was great that I found out about them. It was great that the doctor took me seriously about what I was saying, because the last doctor I had brought it up to had completely blown it off. And that this doctor took the time to explain it all to me in so much detail so that I could understand and I could do what's absolutely best for me. And then same with for Cadence, and I won't even go into what hers is because that's her personal stuff, but um hers required a lot of lifestyle change as well. And as a teenager, she is still resisting it. And so it falls on me as the mother to um, be on top of her making those changes as well. So there's been a lot on my plate. Um, Not using that as an excuse, just, I have barely been able to blink at business or at podcast episodes or any of those things. So I am actually working on the editing, just some minor editing for my Simplified Year podcast episode that should have gone out, I think, beginning of September. Now we're getting close to the end of October. So I'm like 2 months behind over there as well. But I wanted to get an episode out on each of these just so that everyone sort of has an update and like, no, I haven't died. No, there, um, it's just been so much. And I will also say at the beginning of October, my daughter's boyfriend's family lost their 18-year-old daughter very suddenly as well. And it's just, there's been a lot of really hard things all at once in a very short period of time. And um as much as in the past, like the old me absolutely would have been like, it has been this many months since I've worked, I would have been tearing myself up mentally about this. I'm not doing that. I am trusting that basically this year is a wash and that I like this calendar year since January this year, it's been like this. Um, and that I'm just going to keep on plugging away, keep on taking steps, and keep on moving forward. And at some point, all of this will be resolved and things will be easier and routines will be habitual again. And all of that. And I will say we've made leaps and bounds strides as far as sleep and better eating and all of that for all of the kids. Because with them here 24/7, they're not changing a schedule between houses. And so we're going on, in a week or two here, it will have been 2 months of just being here with me, and bedtime routines are incredible. They're going so much smoother, and the sleep quality has improved, and the eating the eating has improved so, so much. And there's the part of me in my head going like, if he ever takes them back, if he ever has them back again, he gonna have to follow this because I'm not giving this up because they're doing so, so well. So there are absolutely wins mixed in here, right? We are making, like I said, leaps and bounds progress in those areas. My health has been shifting dramatically. Um, my mental health is so much better, especially with taking really good care of my physical health and especially knowing what the actual problem was with my physical health and being able to deal with that. So, um, things are really good and really hard all at once. And I'm just continuing to suspend disbelief that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now and that everything that is happening is exactly what is supposed to be happening. And, um, taking deep breaths through it all, taking as much care of myself as I possibly can, and even more care of my children. And just know that my thoughts are on this stuff often, that I miss connecting regularly on suspending disbelief and with people online and all of this, and that I am not gone for good and that I'm not giving it up. This is a phase. The way things are right now. And I'm really grateful for the life that I have that is making it so that this is even remotely sustainable. So I think I covered all of the major things. I'm going to put a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode just because there's a lot of really tough stuff in here. But I love you all, and I'm grateful to you all for listening. And I will try my very best to get back on here soon and give an update much sooner next time. And um, I'm not making or breaking any promises anymore about it. So until my life settles, this is the way it is. But I hope that this update has been um, helpful for you, even if it's just in seeing that like things really can go to shit. Things can be completely falling apart, and you can still just feel that gratitude and still lean into that trust and suspend disbelief that everything is going to work out exactly as it's supposed to work out. So I will talk to you all next time.